Let's go with that. It was cold last night. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick. All right, let me just turn this down because I was playing with the browser earlier. And apparently, the audio is all over the place. Hello, hello. Hi, Dr. T. That works. That works. Of course, my child just came upstairs finally because she was saying, yeah, Discord's all fucked up. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So, there we go. I sound fine here, do I? How about now? Do I sound okay now? Okay, not just me. What? Okay, good. All right. Heidi ho, what's going on, neighbors? How are you doing? Yeah, the Discord thing. Yeah. She was trying to play on Discord, and apparently it wasn't going too well. So, and I was just I was trying to turn my my streamer mode back on, and it won't let me. So, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I guess we'll just let you sit off to the side, I suppose. Whatever. Anyway. Heidi ho, neighborino. Yeah, something like that. How's the music? Too loud? Too quiet? Is it good? Trying to keep track of where my damn levels are at. It's Discord's way of forced grass touching. Well, at least it is nice out. The weather right now, currently here is, let me see, 20 degrees. Tried Jamaican cola today. I highly recommend. I can well imagine. It's infused with goodness. Haven't been outside yet today. Too cold. Yeah. I mean, I suppose you're used to 312 fucking degrees, so there's that. So I do have a topic today, and it's because I'm in a pissy mood. So I figured I was gonna vent about some things, and hey, maybe drag you guys along with me. Beautiful this morning. Now it's raining, slightly dampen the mood. Yeah, I bet. Head do it. Well, as you can see by the title, why the system fails the ADHD people that need it the most. I've actually spent months, if you think about it, going over all of like the research and shit that I have been, and writing the articles and whatnot that I've been writing, and putting shit together. So basically, this is kind of an inevitable lead up, I guess. It wasn't quite intended, but I'm in a bitchy mood today, so this is what we're gonna do. Basically, what all the studies that I have read say about ADHD and sleep and pain and emotional dysregulation and the physical health costs. There was one article I did the other day. TikTok should have made it all better. Sure. You have a beef with Dan for saying shit when you're not here. Hashtag BN. But yeah, I did an article about physical health costs, at midlife, and what the brain looks like for women versus men and boys versus girls, right? Good research. Like, it's important stuff, right? Obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be looking it up. But I kind of want to talk about what none of this stuff is actually doing for the people who need it. And this is something that we all bitch about a lot. Because here's the thing, like, the gap between Yeah, we know you would. Uh, the gap between what all of the evidence in the articles say should happen and what actually does happen for like ADHD care, that's not an accident. It's not an oversight. It's well, it's partially a resource problem, but it's not necessarily just a resource problem, and it's certainly not one that everybody is trying to fix. Um, it's a structural feature, essentially, of a system that was designed around certain people and has never been required to change for anybody else. And I'm pissed off about it. So today we're going to talk about it. I broke this into 4 different segments. All of them are connected by the same thread, the people that are harmed most by these failures. And they are the ones with the least amount of power to demand it get better. Late diagnosed adults, women, people without money for private assessments, people in physically dangerous jobs who don't get the same accommodations as people who work in offices, for example, people who are in rural communities, people who get lost at 18 when the pediatric system, remember I talked about this the other day, pediatric system doesn't do a clean handoff. And hi, Indy. Anyway, all of this shit is documented, right? I've done all of the looking up and whatnot. None of it is an accident. So we're basically going to spend the next little while naming it as clearly as the research allows that I have found. So I guess before I get into my venting and bitching, do you have a specific point of frustration with the system when it comes to ADHD and or autism? One sentence. What's the thing that pisses you off or is going to make you pissed off about it? There's my question for you before I begin ranting. Here's another rant. I got off topic. I was trying to get my TikTok set back up to do this live on here, and apparently, how long do I have? I said one sentence, Nadia. Thanks for listening. Yeah, I was trying to get my TikTok live set back up, and apparently it doesn't want to work. The fact that it relies on self-advocacy while dismissing the acts of self-advocacy, right? Oh, the great irony. Isn't it fantastic? Come on, Nadia, pick one. And I'm sure everybody else has one if they're not just hanging a boot and lurking. Hey, Fab's not being listened to is one. Yeah, it's a big one. Right? Very big one. I just wrote a fucking article about that. And we just talked about that, what, on Wednesday? So yeah, that is absolutely one. No, you're not. Don't lie. I know Doug's not. And actually, that's a great segue. Because that's kind of the first part that I want to talk about. Is the diagnosis access crisis. Right? The first gate, essentially. Before you can get any of the care, the research recommends you have to get a diagnosis. Telling me to try harder doesn't help me do better without breaking it down and telling me what I need to do. Yeah. In some cases, yes. I totally get that. And not just like in a work environment, right? At home kind of thing. If I get told, okay, do this, but if I don't have a lead up to it, or if it's not broken down for me, I won't necessarily be able to execute said task. Trying to help yourself is fine until you're seen as a problem. The system tries to push under the covers after They're the ones who told you to get assessed, yeah. You're too smooth. Yeah, we covered that. Ever heard of masking? Yeah. But, yeah, so before you can get any of the care that all of this research is recommending, you have to get a diagnosis, right? You're not going to get meds if you don't have a diagnosis, right? You're not gonna get these things. You made it this long without, yeah, why do you need help now? Once again, refer back to what Naughty was saying. Have you ever heard of masking? So yeah, they expect you to get a diagnosis, and that gate is not equally available to everybody, not even fucking close, honestly, right? Think about people who can't afford it. Think about people who don't have access to it. People that they don't have a diagnostician in their area. I was told I didn't have lactose intolerance, it was IBS. Okay. That seems like a very, very long walk from one to the other, but okay. If that's what they think. For a lot of what I'm going to talk about does revolve around Canada today, but there is some stuff about the States and there is some stuff globally in here. But for the most part, a lot of this stuff is going to be Canadian, but it is, the pattern holds across different countries with different healthcare systems, essentially. The specifics change, but the shape of it does not. I figured how I did handle the crisis call, so yeah. Ducking, masking. Or more importantly, squirrel duck. We all need a squirrel duck, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway. As I go knocking things over on my desk. Don't stay put. Alright. I want that duck. I'm not sure where it came from. It might have come from eBay or Amazon, one of the, I don't know. It was a gift. That's all I know. Anywho. So, as of early this year, the wait time for an adult ADHD assessment at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto, which is one of the most prominent health institutions in our country, is between 14 and 18 months. That's the public pathway, right? The free one. 14 to 18 months from referral to assessment. You should get tested. Told that doesn't count and go to the doctor. He asks if you've done any tests online. And you're sitting there wondering if self-diagnosis is more valid than your opinion. Right? You're going to lurk in color and knock yourself out. But yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, in your neighborhood, right, at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, 14 to 18 months. Everything gets sent to Toronto. Yeah, and there's another barrier, right? Like I said, accessibility. If you don't have something in the area, then what? Right? Like in my area specifically, but not necessarily in this case, but like for when they were doing my sleep assessment, right? They would have to send me to Calgary. When I was going to get my initial free autism assessment, they were going to send me to Edmonton, right? After 6 fucking years. Aw, Indy Kitty. Throwing out the subbies. Thank you, hon. What would you do if someone sent you 100 resin squirrels? I would love it and display them. Put together a mold for a butt plug and send it back. Well, that was oddly specific. Thanks, Dan. Well, I appreciate it. Alright, so, like I said, Toronto, 14 to 18 months. The private pathway, and that is a comprehensive psychoeducational assessment from a registered psychologist, will cost you between $2,000 and $3,500 in Ontario, as of earlier this year. In BC to the west, it's between 2,000 and 4,000. Here in Alberta, it's about the same, between 2 grand and 4 grand. Right? And the only public adult ADHD clinic in BC is the Hope Center at Lionsgate Hospital. And they closed their wait list in July of 2021. They didn't lengthen it. They didn't add time to it. They fucking closed it. Like, that's how bad it is. And that's in Vancouver, right? One of the two major urban centers in the country. And OHIP doesn't cover them anymore. Yeah, great. Right? Isn't that fantastic? These scrolls were inside. Okay. But up here in the Great White Canada, free healthcare, it has a hidden price tag. Your time and your economic stability, essentially. And that's not me being sarcastic. That's from a Canadian healthcare navigation resource published this year. They said it themselves. Shit, I forgot to write down the source for that. But they actually said free healthcare has a hidden price tag. Your time and your economic stability. Free costs something. Nothing here is ever free. No, that's why we pay taxes. And surprise, surprise, down there in Yankeeville, our taxes are not much higher than yours, if at all. So there you are. So here's the part that really pisses me off, and that's the framing around this is almost always about wait time and resources. We don't spend on war. Well, I mean, our amount of input to it went up, but we certainly don't ask for $1.5 trillion for it. Because, you know, warmongering fucks. Anyway, the framing around it is almost always around wait times and resources. Demand has outpaced the supply. More people are seeking assessment, and the system is overloaded. And we do not have the people in place to assist with that. Or just say, fucking do it myself. Yeah, it was like me today, which contributed to me being pissed off. I got left at home today, so I had to reschedule everything. And I'm like, well, that was fucking fantastic. Anyway, that's a rant I'm not going to go on. Anyway, the system is overwhelmed. We don't have the people in place for it, and the demand is outpacing the supply. So, who's getting through this gate? Appreciated. That's a later rant. Maybe we'll see how I'm feeling. At this point, I've done my internship. Well, there's that. But yeah, so the big question is, who's getting through this gate? Who can afford $2,500 for a private assessment, right? Who can afford to wait 18 months without losing their job or, you know, falling behind in school or what have you? Who's got a GP who's comfortable enough with ADHD to diagnose and prescribe without referral to a specialist? I do. Thank fuck I do. Because he diagnosed my wife. Look for work. I got an office. Want to see? My doctor did. There you go. Right? So it does happen. It absolutely does happen. But it doesn't happen often. That's the thing. So who's got the executive function, the health literacy, the social capital to navigate a referral process that takes months? I basically told him, he said, yeah. I got something to show you guys, actually, related to that. Thanks, Peter, for the reminder. I'm actually going to show you what people here in Canada have to use for it. Or at least a part of it. Something that is in place. But I'll get to that later. ADHD, but not ASD. No, ASD is a much deeper swamp for them that they would have to wade into, right? ADHD is a lot easier to assess, quote unquote, than autism is. But again, that's a different matter altogether. But so who's got the time for this shit? Who's got the time? Who's got the money? Who's got who's got the literacy to be able to advocate for themselves where they need to? Right? Not the people who are most impaired by their untreated ADHD. Not the people who are losing their jobs, people who are falling behind in school, not people with financial instability, right? Not the people who are already exhausted and overwhelmed from it. I feel like this is a new grind. You have no spice. You can get through and endure for years. Somebody may help. We gotta go on another waiting list. Gotta survive. Yep. Let me crazy. Mad science method. Whatever works for you. But these are not the people who have got the hi. Why are you apologizing? Someday I'll come on VC and explain. I thought you weren't on Discord. Anywho. So anyway, who's got the patience for this? Who's got the time for this? Who's got the money for this? Right? Like I said, it's not the people who are most impaired by their untreated and undiagnosed ADHD. Not the people who are losing the jobs, not the people who can't afford it, not the people who are already exhausted, overwhelmed, all that shit. Not the people who get lost, not the people who just, they haven't got the mental space for it. I have to do disco for, oh, okay. Go public. Yeah, that's right. How dare you? How dare you put your laundry in? What the fuck? Good grief. So anyway, I never have mental space. Fair enough. That's right. How dare you do real life things or something as your great cult leader is speaking. How absolutely dare you? I dare. There you go. What the fuck? Anyway, this is a class issue. It's a geography issue. And in Canada specifically, I did an article on this one. It is also a rural issue. Because even in the insufficient urban infrastructure, shall we say, it doesn't exist if you're not in a major city, right? You're not going to get help if you're not in or near a major population. So that's right. Heed his warning. Don't you dare. How very dare you? Anyway, the ADHD diagnosis system is not failing everyone equally. It's failing the people who need it the most, who need it first, and who need it the hardest, shall we say. Everyone else is just inconvenienced, but those of us who can't access the diagnosticians, who can't afford to dish out $2,000, $4,000, depending on where you are, these are the people that it is failing. So for those that got it later in life, how long did it take you? And that's ADHD and autism. I want to know, how long did it take you to finally get assessed? Did you get there through the public system, private, through your GP, through online? And if you're not diagnosed yet, tell me what exactly is standing in your way. And give me the real answer. Don't polish a turd here. Obviously, you know that we speak freely around these parts. I'm broken. Yes, I'm broketh. In the financial and and mental space. IR broketh. Got it very young. They didn't help me learn to manage it. That is far too common. Sadly. ADHD is fuck in the 90s. School was helpful. Jar Jar was not. Misa no assess you ADHD? I still have time. I have no idea what's happening. Story of my life. What remains of it anyway. I still have time. I have no idea what's happening. I say that actually quite often in perspective to my life. Jar Jar or jar on the shelf. I've got a jar of the Force up here. It's the Force in a jar. True story. Egg donors new. Misa donate eggs! The fuck? Forgot what I ate for breakfast most days if you remember to even eat that day. Uh-huh. Jar in the shelf. I'm still undiagnosed. Self-diagnosis is valid. Yes, it is. Finally found the multivector sexual activity I was talking about the other day. Cool. All right, so we had a couple of answers there. So I'm gonna name something that doesn't get said in polite ADHD advocacy circles. The wait time crisis and the cost barrier are not separate from the medication moral panic. Remember that? The same narrative that says too many people are getting diagnosed for ADHD conveniently ignores that most of the people who actually have ADHD need treatment and that can't access it. The too many diagnoses argument is being made in a system where 14 to 18 months in the public system and $2,500 minimum private, those two things cannot be true simultaneously. It's either too many diagnoses or it's too restricted. Pick a fucking lane. You can't have one and the other. So the next time you hear somebody try and give you one of those arguments, tell them to pick a lane and stick with it. It's either we're getting diagnosed too much, or like, what the fuck? The mic. Dr. D here. Feel free to reach out and do a diagnosis. You just need to find my crayon. Bought him a new pack of crayons. Nice. So the research, for the record, is consistent. ADHD is underdiagnosed, particularly in adults, particularly in women, AFABs, particularly in people of color, particularly in people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, i.e. the poor. The people most likely to be missing a diagnosis are not the people who are overcrowding the referral pipeline. So this narrative bullshit they're spinning is completely backwards. Did they get left in the sun? No, but I'll play you something when we do the self-care break in 15 minutes. I got a song for you, Vespa. Speaking of crayons in a microwave. They're all red and can't find them. You probably snacked on those. I need that song on Spotify. It's not there yet. It's not going to be there for a little bit. I got to finish mastering mine. And I don't know if Jay wants me to put his up yet. Alright, so the next segment is the research to practice gap. Right? So let's say that you got through the first gate. Let's say that you got your diagnosis. Now what? Right? How many people were just diagnosed, given a pat on the head, a bottle of pills, and sent out the door? Initially, I was. Well, initially, I was a kid, so I was given a pat on the head. My mom was given a bottle of pills, and I was just told to take one every day. When I got it redone at 23-ish or something, Marines and Titan stacks on crayons too. There you go. When I got mine redone at, what, 21, 23, something like that. That's what I got. A pat on the head, a bottle of pills, and sent out the fucking door. Not even a thank you, not a pamphlet, not a nothing. Right? Here you go. Enjoy. So, according to the research that I've been covering for a couple of months now in my Substack, by the way. So if you want to, keep up with all of the research that I'm breaking down and turning into human language, that's what my Substack is for. Anyway, you should receive care that addresses these specific mechanisms of your ADHD. Your clinician should be assessing for emotional dysregulation as a distinct clinical dimension, right? I hear actually that is something that is going to be possibly added into the DSM-6, is the emotional aspect is going to be a piece of diagnostic criteria. I'm not holding my breath. I am crossing my fingers, though. ADHD, given Ritalin, that was it. Yeah, me too. I got told to cheer up and man up and stop being so sad. No pills, no nothing, just bullshit. That sounds sadly too familiar, too. My mom made me quite the living room on my Ritalin. You're going to have to retype that one. I'm trying to rephrase it. Yeah, selling it. That's one way of doing it. But they should also be asking about sleep, specifically delayed sleep phase syndrome. They should be aware that pain presents differently in ADHD brains than your pain reports. They may be unreliable, shall we say. She sold my Ritalin and bought more drugs. There you go. All right. Gross, but okay. They should be checking for autism if it hasn't been assessed, because the Venn diagram on those are pretty thick. They should be asking about bullying history, because remember the data on ADHD kids and bullying, that's pretty huge. If you have kids with ADHD, the research on transition of care says that you should be planning between 14 and 16. That's something that they should be looking at if you're talking about your kids, right? So mama's got that one under wraps. We talked about that the other day. I would be fine with late onset sleep. I have trouble sleeping. Not uncommon. Something we talked about on Sunday, I think. I don't recall. But anyway, how much of this stuff that I'm saying is standard practice? Essentially none of it. Pretty much. Let me give you one of the straightforward examples that we went over this week. That's what fuck it all is for, that's right. There are no clinical practice guidelines for adult ADHD in the United States. Not inadequate ones, not outdated ones, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yo. Coffee and cookies. Get a cookie, y'all. Can't say that on stream? No, you probably can't say it in the Discord. You could say it on the stream. I don't know where the fuck you forgot you were, but okay. There are no therapy spots in the US. Even if there were, they're costly. In the EU. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is guidelines. They don't have practice guidelines at all in the States. Nothing. We have them in Canada. They have them in the UK. I'm not 100% sure about a lot of different places in Europe, right? But I know that, I know in the UK that they do. Okay, so here, when it comes to the US, okay, there is and the Americans love their fucking acronyms. It's called APSARD, the American Professional Society for ADHD and Related Disorders. This is the thing, I guess. So they announced that they were developing the first ever U.S. clinical practice guidelines for adult ADHD. They announced this in, when did they announce it? 2022. Gougy. Gougy? Well, howdy, howdy. Welcome aboard. And yes, some guidelines, even if they're outdated, are better than none. The US doesn't have any. So this APSARD group announced in 2022 that they were going to develop these first ever US clinical guidelines. The initial target release date was the end of 2023. That got delayed until late 2024. As of last month is the latest data that I could find. As of March 2026, and this is according to Medscape, they still don't exist. The boss! Hello, the boss! So anyway, these guidelines, they would tell American clinicians how to diagnose and how to treat ADHD in adults. No, it's not a shocker. Let me guess, funding has been cut? Probably. But the guidelines, they would standardize basically what care looks like. They would give insurance companies down in the States a basis for coverage, right? That, and that would give the DEA down there a basis for production quotas when it comes to things like Adderall, Vyvanse, Ritalin, yada yada. Hi, story. But these guidelines do not exist. In 2026, they don't exist. Healthcare providers in the US are not taught how to diagnose and treat ADHD in adults. That's not just me saying it. I didn't mean to spell it out too loudly. Yeah, sorry. Don't bother telling the truth. They just want to push pills and make money. Who fucking knows? With your administration, who knows? But anyway, so healthcare providers in the US, they don't know how to properly treat and diagnose adults, okay? This is not me saying it. This is from the CHAD website, which is children and adults with ADHD. It's something like that. That's what the acronym stands for. Anyway, the people trying to fix the problem, okay, they said it themselves. CHADD. Chad.org, if you want to look this site up. CHADD.org. Yeah. So, okay, like I was saying, the UK has one. It's called NICE. I didn't look it up. Or I didn't pull it up. But the UK has one. It's called NICE. Canada has one. It's called the CADRA Guidelines, and I will show it to you. These are they're called the CADRA Guidelines, okay? The Canadian ADHD Practice Guidelines. So basically, this is what this is what doctors are given to help assess and treat ADHD in Canada. We actually have fucking practice guidelines. The big green book, yep. So this is what they have to adhere to. Okay? So I'm not going to go through all of it kind of thing, right? But let's zoom in a little bit. Just to give you an idea of some of the things that they have covered in this book, right? They do differential diagnosis, comorbid disorders, right? For ODD, for conduct disorder, aggression, antisocial personality, BPD, anxiety disorders, major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, right? Autism, eating disorders, Tourette's. Okay? This is the shit that up here in Canada they have to adhere to in order to help them assess and to treat. At least we fucking have something. At least the UK has something. I can't speak for a lot of other companies. I mean, some places might as well call them that. But I can't speak for a lot of the other European countries. Okay, I can't speak for Australia, New Zealand. I don't know what you guys have down there. This is only just what I found on a really, really quick search. Okay? You guys may have something in place. Companies, countries, same shit. That's what I'm saying. You might as well call them that. It's great. They all just want money. I work for a grocery store. They don't care about us. They're just here to make them make millions. And those of us with neurodivergence are worse off because we're in extreme hard mode. Yes. Pretty much exactly what I'm telling you. And story, it sounds like a great system on paper. You're going to have to go back and watch part 1 of the VOD to catch up. It ain't perfect. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Hello, Road Toad's wifey! But anyway, so the evidence transfer gap, what we were talking about the other day, when you're going from childhood to adult, okay? It is documented. It has a name. It refers to the well-established phenomenon where research findings take an average of 17 years to reach routine clinical practice. So they want the information for like 17 years. 17 fucking years for basic medical findings to go from publication to standard care. We have the NSMHS, natural. I'm going to look this up while I'm thinking of it. That is very great. NSMHS. Blah, blah, blah. What? Oh, we have it in the Canadian Institutes of Health Research. Natural standards of... Wow. Australian Government, Department of Health. Yeah, you guys have it there. Look at that. Science takes time to be accurate, I know, right? Who would have thought? I wish I had some guidelines for my neurodivergent test. What? And that's what we were saying, right? Some or outdated is still better than none. If we didn't have the DSM-5 and we were still running on the DSM-4, at least we were still fucking running on that. So, there is that. So, where was I here? Okay, so on top of having all of this gap, there is also disorder-specific barriers. So there's stigma, there's the complexity of the presentation, there's the lack of specialist training at the primary care level, which where books like that one come in handy. There's the absence of clear therapeutic pathways. A GP who wants to do right by their adult ADHD patient often has no standardized guidance for what looks like or what looks right. So again, this is where books like that come in handy. And we're just going to snooze that so I can finish up what I'm talking about. Starting a new position. I love the mugs at University in Northern Texas. They're fantastic. Once I stop making stupid jokes, it's time to start worrying then. Disability tax credit, already disability, doctor forms. What the fuck does that work? I filled mine out online. Anyway, I'm going to finish this up before the self-care break. So anyway, what happens in practice, okay? The research says assess for emotional dysregulation as a distinct dimension. In practice, the patient gets a symptom checklist. In practice, I had to fill one out. It was kind of helpful. The research says ask about sleep timing, sleep delay phase syndrome. Come on, words. Because that's a documented thing, right? 36%, if we recall from the other day, 36% of adults with ADHD have delayed sleep phase. Good God, English. So the research says that pain presents differently in ADHD brains. Okay, we talked about that the other day. In practice, if a kid reports ADHD pain, their parents get told it's anxiety. Okay, this was an article that I put up yesterday, I think, about kids' pain levels, kids with ADHD and their pain levels. Okay, so it's all of these articles that I've covered, and they've ended with basically the same sentence, and almost none of this is getting applied clinically. So the research says do one thing. The practice is doing something completely different. Now, why is that? I'll let you be the judge. I'll let you come up with the answer that's money. So anyway, the research exists. The practice does not follow it. The gap is not neutral. People are paying for it every fucking day. And the outcomes could be so much better, so different if the practices would follow it, would follow the research. My star. Poor little Nadia. Okay, so we're going to do a self-care break here, as we always do. My question to you, while we have our self-care break, is going to be, I want you to tell me about a gap where you needed ADHD care, but what you actually got. If you have a story for that. Not horror stories, okay? Not necessarily horror stories. Just the gap of, I needed this, they gave me this, okay? Tell me about that. What should have been offered, but was not offered to you? Now I need to acquire 120K. You just noticed that one, did you? All right. On that note, let us take a moment. We'll have ourselves a self-care break. I'm going to refill my coffee. I want you guys to get a water, have a snack, go to the bathroom, stand up, have a stretch. Blah, blah, blah. All of that shit.
After these messages,
Vespa!
we'll be right back.
Vespa, I got a treat for you.
Yeah, this is gonna be great. Oh yeah, this is gonna be great. Wait! What's that sound? Oh no! Oh no! Oh shit! It's getting everywhere! No! 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 Hold on. Wait a second. This sounds awesome. Fuck yeah!
Deploy scoop. Align to jet. Frame shift core. Prepare for violence. White fire claws the canopy. Flux lines twist like knives. My ship trembles on the edge. One spark from collapse. Ride the jet, don't slip. Hold the line, rip. Burn my drive alive. I tear through space-time. Ride the stellar blade. One jump. Light obeys. Gravity lashes my hull. Heat climbs past safe. Every warning screams in red. I smile and throttle up. Spike, core, bite, don't fold, hold, tight, push, pass, light, neutron burst, burn my drive alive, overcharge, I tear through space-time, neutron burst, ride the stellar blade, one jump, light obeys. right path. Neutron burst, ride the cosmic wave. One jump, space misbehaves. Cold hull on a dying star. Thrusters whisper. Course threads through dust. Silence. Then the sky tears open. Let this rising heat on the skin. Hold the line. Drive it in. Drive it in.
Poor Nadia. Poor Nadia. It's more curious to see if you pull the pin if you fall. Yeah, she does. It pinned her right between my eyes. Here we go. I got a Nadia on my nose. Alright, let me see. Did anybody actually answer the question, or did we just fuck around?
Gravity bites the frame.
And to restart Twitch again? Oh, that sucks.
I chase the ghost heat of worlds unborn.
It's not letting me share. Apparently it's my 35th anniversary of being subbed. Hey, cool. Next month you get a brand new badge. No, I don't think anybody actually answered that. What question? Who tipped the cup? That's a really good question. I have no idea. It was probably when I changed scenes. What question? Got busy with a gnat. The question was, if you had a... Okay, what you needed from your ADHD care, but what you actually got was my question. Is if anybody had a story about what they needed, but they got something entirely different. Right here, I've got settings. Stand it back up. There we go. Trauma. I got trauma. There you go. I mean, I can go back and look later, but I'm pretty sure it was just when I switched scenes. But let me just, I'll just put a little pin in there and remind myself to go back and check the cup and see if anybody specifically knocked it over. And if somebody did specifically knock it over, that means I get to send them a pack of Stream Loots cards. Hey! Alright. Went in to get help, got diagnosed with BPD and severe depression. Perfect. Perfect. What cup? This little cup here. It's my little hype cup, the tip cup or whatever. So like, if anybody ever like cheers, like does bits or anything like that, or like super chats over on YouTube even, or if anytime somebody brand new subscribes or whatever, or if they join as a member on YouTube or whatever, there's a little ball that'll come out and it'll drop down into here. Let me, oh no, that's empty, the cup. Just hiding behind the self-care screen. Yeah, so anyway, it'll eventually, yeah, here's an example. There we go. Right, little bitties drop into the cup there, right? Thanks, folks. So like if somebody subscribes, right, and the bigger the thing it is, the bigger the ball comes out. And because this thing is like physics based, so if somebody knocks it over, then I send them a pack of Streamloots cards that they can fuck around with. It's just a goofy little thing that I have. We dig it. People tend to try and pay attention to if the cup ever goes over. We used to have a thing where it was fill the cup and blow it up, and people would try and like fucking make the cup explode. It was great. Once upon a time. Oh, we're doing Battle Royale, are we? Nice. Alright. So, let me see. Just before I move on to the next thing here, I just want to say something. Yeah, we like these little things. It's all about the little things. That's why I've got so many little things, to keep everybody's attention. All of the ooh shinies, so many. But yeah, I want to say something about what it would take to close this gap that we're talking about. Because I think people sometimes treat it as an information problem. It is not that. They treat it like if clinicians just knew more, they'd do better. Some of it is the information, but a lot of it is the way the system is designed, right? You can't ask a GP who has 12 minutes per appointment, essentially, to conduct a comprehensive ADHD assessment that accounts for like emotional dysregulation, your sleep architecture, your pain processing, potential autism comorbidity, you know, all of these other things that could be stacked with it, the full psychosocial picture, right? That's just not realistic. The information problem and the structural problem, they're the same problem. The research has outrun the delivery mechanism, shall we say, okay? Until that changes, the people who get the actual comprehensive care are the people who can afford the comprehensive care. Private ADHD clinics, coaching, multidisciplinary teams, right? The people who can't afford to get the 12-minute appointment and a prescription, essentially. And again, until that changes, here we are, stuck in this capitalist hellscape. Before I jump on to the next thing, I want to actually first thank those people that have listened to the, it's on average 12 minutes. Like it's between, like for a simple GP appointment, it's between like 12 and 20 minutes kind of thing, at most. Mine was 4 max. You can, you know, if you're doing like a full physical, or if you plan ahead and say like, you know, I want this full thing, they'll double book you, right? So you'll get a double time slot, as it were. But for your standard walk-in clinic style appointment, you're getting on average about 12 minutes, about 10 to 15. Yeah, it's somewhere about there, right? It's funny how 12 lands right between 10 and 15. Funny that. Doing the test ever since I met him. Yeah, well, there's a good thing. But yeah, I want to thank those people who were listening to the sleep music and who gave me the feedback on it. I appreciate that. That was very helpful. And I am going to actually be putting that up as a YouTube video with no ads. So if somebody wants to like listen to it, and I'll put a pretty picture on it kind of thing. But if they want to listen to it on YouTube as sleep music, then it'll have no ads on it, then they can do that. So yeah, there you go. So thanks for the feedback. I appreciate it. I'm also going to dump an entire series, an entire playlist of even just single ones kind of thing. I'll be dumping that on my main YouTube channel. Longest appointment I ever had was an hour and a half, and it was my insurance company trying to prove I was faking. Good luck. How did they do? I take it they didn't do too well. Longest appointment I have had in recent memory was the one at the pain clinic in Calgary that lasted just shy of 3 hours. Supposed to be 3 hours. Yeah, my autism assessment was 90 minutes. I had a couple therapy sessions that lasted that long. Anyway, I'm going to continue on. Here we go. The medical moral panic. Remember when I talked about this? I mentioned this about an hour ago. The medical moral panic. Okay, I'm going to give you some numbers here that I found. So I want you to hold on to them. Hold on to them in your head if you can. While we talk about the narrative that gets the most airtime. Oh, that's my afternoon med alarm. So if you have afternoon meds that you have to take, now would be a good time to do it. All right. So this is from the National Center for Health Statistics in 2023. 1 second. Remember, kids, take your meds. All right. So the National Center for Health Statistics from 2023. Adults with current ADHD in the United States. Of those adults, 33.4%, so that's about 1 in 3, almost exactly 1 in 3, took stimulant medication in the past 12 months. Of those who did take stimulants, 71.5% reported difficulty getting their prescription filled because their medication was not available. Does anybody remember this bullshit from a couple of years ago? So let me say that again. 1 in 3 adults with current ADHD is on medication. Of those, 7 in 10 are having trouble getting their meds. Now, what is the media conversation about ADHD medication? Can anybody tell me? Actually, somebody tell me. Let's see if you're listening. Raise his hand for remembering bullshit. Yeah. Yeah. So, can you tell me, what is the current media conversation? Yeah, I know you're 100% not listening. At the timer now, pick one. Because they're pretty close to the same. Actually, they're even worse now. Realistically. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Tickle the fairy. Too many diagnoses? You're my best body doubling buddy. I'm happy to be that. Yeah, Pitter, that's exactly it. At the time, they were calling people needing meds either druggies or they were calling them tragedies. That's one way to look at it. But currently, the one that they were saying is, oh boy, words, man. Come on, words. At the time, it was too many people were getting diagnosed. Overprescription, right? And that was supposedly driving the stimulant shortage. Right? We need to be careful about handing out ADHD diagnoses. The pandemic created an entire generation of people who got misdiagnosed online. You guys remember that? Right? Even I kind of fell under that umbrella because I was doing ads for that company Done, which ended up fucking getting hit with that lawsuit. They were one of the ones who got hit with the lawsuit because they ended up being irresponsible about it. But at the time, I believed in what they were doing. They were helping people. They were trying to help people. Right? So I stood by what I said at the time. They were trying to genuinely help people, or at least it seemed so. Now, they got hit with that lawsuit that claimed that they were overprescribing and all of that, and I can't speak to that. But you kind of remember that? Every one of those articles that is being published online or for the media or whatever, in a context where 2/3 of people with current ADHD are not on medication, and 7 in 10 of the ones who can't reliably fill their prescription, right? The narrative and the data are not in the same fucking universe. They're not even close, right? They're saying that we're being overprescribed and, you know, a bunch of pill pushing and yada yada. You know, currently in the States, they're trying to get people off of medication. You know, I hear that they're going to be doing these fucking, these non-med camps or whatever the hell. I'm not going to get into that because I'm going to start ranting, but, you know, it's ridiculous, right? You can't have an overprescription crisis and a shortage simultaneously. You're overprescribing and that's leading to the shortage. Well, no. If you're overprescribing and there's a shortage, people are not getting the meds, right? The math doesn't work. Pick a fucking lane. The math ain't mathin'. Tylenol causes autism, that's right. So does circumcision. So, here's what is actually happening. ADHD stimulants, they are considered a Schedule 2. They're a controlled substance in the US. That means the DEA sets annual production quotas, okay? They say how much can be manufactured. Those quotas are set on they're set based on estimates of legitimate medical need, okay? Those estimates have historically been very conservative, and the DEA has faced significant criticism for how the shortage was mishandled at the time.
It's a cosmic gunfight.
Sorry, just got a notification there that distracted me. How can you tell I've been out of Vyvanse for a little bit? Speaking of shortages, we don't have a shortage. I just keep forgetting to order this stuff. Anyway. So, the, who is it? The AJMC? I wish I could remember who that was. The American Journal of Medicine, essentially. Take a minute and order your meds. I will do so on the next self-care break if I remember. What do we got? I only got 27 minutes? Wow, crazy. So I think it's the American Journal of Medicine. They published a piece arguing that the overdiagnosis of adult ADHD was exacerbating the stimulant shortage. I need to... What's the AJMC? I need to remind myself what that is. AJMC. Why did I not write it down? American Journal of Managed Care. That's what it is. So yeah, they're the ones who published a piece saying that overdiagnosis was exacerbating the stimulant shortage, right? The mechanism they proposed, too many people are being diagnosed, creating a demand that exceeded the supply. So their solution implied fewer diagnoses. Pardon me while I scratch my head for a second. So you're telling me that the best way to eliminate a med shortage is to stop diagnosing people. Wow. That sounds exactly like, I don't want to know about how many people are dying from COVID, so we're just going to stop collecting the numbers. That way it won't look so bad. That sounds really familiar. It sounds almost like something that happened. Oh well. So yeah, that's their solution. Completely fucking ass backwards, but that's their solution. So in a system where 1 in 3 diagnosed adults is medicated and the others are not, in a system where 14 to 18 months is the public wait for an assessment, okay? and in a system where no clinical practice guidelines for adult ADHD is in the US. And the too many diagnosis argument is being made in all of this context. Okay? Let's be fair here. I'm going to try and be fair for once. The real question about diagnostic quality in the telehealth area, which is what that Dunn company that I was doing ads for, right? The rapid expansion of online ADHD diagnosis during COVID created conditions where assessment quality varied significantly. The quality of the assessment that people were getting online with companies like Dunn. I can't remember the other big one. Anybody remember what the other big one was? I remember Dunn was one of them, but there was another one that was really big. There was a legitimate concern about assessment standards. It's not the same thing as saying too many people have ADHD. It was, the conditions were perfect for a situation where you were trapped in your house by yourself with your own brain and realizing that it wasn't working properly. So, let me say it again. The research is very clear that ADHD is underdiagnosed, not overdiagnosed. It is very underdiagnosed. There's a lot of demographic data that is very clear on that. And it's also clear that the increase in adult diagnoses is primarily catching up from decades of misdiagnosis, especially in women, especially in people of color. Global medication use data that I pulled shows a faster increase in females than males. Obviously, because they're catching up for decades of fucking misdiagnoses or getting skipped over or whatever, right? And that makes sense when you understand that women were systematically underdiagnosed for decades, and now they're finally being identified. How many of the women, females, AFABs in chat can relate to what I am saying right now? As I take a moment and have a sip. Just gonna close that. Yes, it's the American Journal of blah, blah, blah. I get it. You do. You do. Perfect. So yeah, the clinical data, or rather back that up. Diagnoses are catching up to all of the people that it missed, essentially. So the panic about too many ADHD diagnoses is it's the most visible in the demographic that was always most likely to get diagnosed. And the people who got missed for decades, they're finally getting identified. But somehow that's the crisis. Is that fixing the dust spot? Yeah, there we go. So, here's my 2 cents. The number one thing that I think should end this debate, based on a ton of the info that I was looking at, that I have been reading up in the last couple of months. Okay, there was an article that was published. Where is it? It was a study in the British Journal of Psychiatry. It was published in last year, 2025. A matched cohort study of adults diagnosed with ADHD in the UK. They found an alarming reduction in life expectancy in both men and women diagnosed with ADHD compared to their matched cohorts. Have you ever heard me say that ADHD people, we have a shorter life expectancy than neurotypicals do? Have you ever heard me say that? I remember being looked at, told I qualified for a diagnosis, but I had to choose to be supported or ignored. They were surprised I choose to attempt to be supported. You never heard me say that, Vespa? Yes, once or twice. Only 100 times. Right? See? Look, Annie, you do pay attention sometimes. But it's true. It's documented. It's very well documented. We have a shorter life expectancy. than the average, than a neurotypical does. Might have missed them. That's fine. The keyword here sometimes, yes it is. I have made videos about it in the past. It is stuff that I have talked about on stream. I've talked about it in the articles. But yeah, this published study from the British Journal of Psychology, or Psychiatry rather, I'm sorry. Yeah, it backs the data up, right? There's an alarming reduction in life expectancy for people diagnosed with ADHD. In a country with a healthcare system and guidelines and comparatively good access. That's where that data is from. Okay, so the question that the medication moral panic never asked is, what is the cost of undertreatment? These are things that a lot of people don't think about. Can I just come to Canada? I'm sure there's a way, yeah. Hello. How's it going there? How goes the shenanigans? Oh, today it's bitching. Actually, I was just talking about the UK. I was just talking about a study that was published in the British Journal of Psychiatry, just to back up a couple of minutes. A matched cohort study of adults diagnosed with ADHD in the UK. They found an alarming reduction in life expectancy in both men and women compared to their matched cohorts. Right? And how I've been saying for years that we have a documented shorter life expectancy than neurotypicals do. So, just to keep going where I was going there, okay? The question that the medication moral panic that nobody ever asked is, what is the cost of undertreatment? Again, something I have talked about repeatedly. What is the cost of not getting diagnosed? What is the cost of not having proper access, proper care? Because of things like addiction, depression, yes, those are factors. Why do we have a shorter life? Because of things like, again, addiction, depression, suicide rates are higher, worse mental health, right? Worse mental health is the main contributor to that. But we do have a shorter life expectancy because of that. Because it is untreated. Right? So, my hometown has a high rate of suicide. That sucks ass. Where are we here? So yeah, what was the cost of being undertreated? What is the population level cost of 2/3 of people with current ADHD not being medicated? Which is what I'm saying. What is the cost of those people not being diagnosed at all? What is the cost of 14 to 18 months? Thanks for the shout out there. What is the cost of these 14 to 18 month long waiting lists while untreated ADHD accumulates, and the psychological distress, the physical health consequences, the life trajectory? These are things that I've been talking about for the last couple of months. Again, my Substack. Check out the fucking articles there. Right? Nadia reads these daily. Loves the call-outs. One story, a guy slamming on the brake, saying in the moment, ran to the side, threw himself in. To show how the mental state can just snap. Yeah. Thanks, Dan. Remember, it's free for everybody, but if you want to be a paid subscriber, one, it helps me out, and two, you get access to the deeper dive stuff. It's on the higher of the two bridges. That's crazy. That is crazy. Nadia, do you remember if I did I do an article on the higher suicide rates? Or was that something that I was planning on doing? Do you recall reading that? I asked Nadia because did I do an article on that? I don't remember if I actually wrote that one or if I was planning on that one. It's what happens when I do between 3 and 5 of these in a week. I feel like I haven't written that one yet. The ripple effect, because sometimes it could be many weeks after Oh, wow. It's still fucked up. Honestly. I know it's been... I've discussed it a lot. I don't think I'm going to have to go back and double check. But yeah, if I haven't, I will write one. I'll do it with Vespa in mind. If that's cool, because Vespa was asking. So if I forget, Vespa, try and remind me, okay? One action touch so many people and the cycle perpetuates. It's true. It is true. Immediate family, extended family, emergency services, volunteers helping locate. Yep. Yep. That is absolutely one thing that not a lot of people think about. Why am I so fucking tilted on camera here? Must be the chair. Anyway. Had to bully a printer. You had to bully one or buy one? Remind you what? That I will write up an article for the like the suicide rates and whatnot, like the shorter life expectancy. I vote for bully. Bully works for me. Probably the way I'm sitting. I just started failing. Well, I asked it. I love when printers do that. I love that buying brand new printer is almost cheaper than replacing the fucking ink cartridges. But that's a topic for another day. Anyway. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, that this is... I was talking about my Substack. I was talking about these are articles that I have written over the last couple of months, and kind of this is the trajectory where we ended up. But those numbers there, they don't make the news, right? The overdiagnosis story does. But the overdiagnosis story is also the bullshit one. Well, ink tanks instead of cartridges, good idea. Risk-taking article, you did self-hair. Self-hair. I did a self-harm and suicide ideation. Yeah, I didn't. It was the depression stream is what that one was. We're going to read them all. That link right above your head. That's where you can read all of the shit that I put out. And I write between 3 and 5 articles a week, depending on how much energy I got. But, okay, so here's my question for you. During the medication panic, how did that affect you personally, or did it? Did the medication shortage at the time affect you personally? And have you encountered the too many people are getting diagnosed narrative? And if and when you heard it, how did that affect you? What was your response to it? Now, at the time, I don't think the shortage up here affected me personally that I can think of. I think there was a period where we were a little bit short, and I think I had to wait like 3 days to get a refill. When was the shortage again? This was... When was that? 22? I think it was... Help me if I'm wrong here, if anybody can remember. I think it was back in like 21 or 22. 22, 23. That sounds about right. Yeah, it was shortly after COVID. Somewhere around there, between 21 and 23. Do you remember it affecting you? You ended up having a breakdown. Did I? I will take your word for that. But I don't think it... I think it was the change of meds you're thinking of, Nadia. I encountered the too many people diagnosed narrative. Wasn't personally directly affected, but that's because meds in my combo plotter don't play well. Fair enough. Not on meds. That's when I started smoking weed more. Well, that'll do it too. For 420, Vespa, I did an article on cannabis and ADHD. And it's a full free article if I remember. So like it is one of the longest fucking articles that I have written. And it wasn't no, it wasn't funny. Which you could be medicated without risking dangerous side effects. I wish you could too. Yeah, Vespa, if you want an interesting read. On 420, I actually wrote an article about cannabis and ADHD. But yeah, it's fully free. Available for everybody with all the details. And if I recall, it's one of the longer ones that I did. Bought edibles on 420 and then realized what the day was after. You know what a giant fail I did earlier this week was? It did not register to me that Tuesday was May the 5th, which was Cinco de Mayo, which was a Taco Tuesday. And I did not make tacos. What a fail. What a giant fail on my part. So I'm going to make them tonight. God, what a giant fucking fail that was. I need I'm on the phone.
And thank you for calling ADHD Incorporated. All our operators are currently busy. Your call is very important to us. Please hold the line and the first available representative will be happy to help you.
You're a fucker, Dan, you know that? I will confess, one of the biggest worries that I have about that on hold thing is that when I am in the middle of a very serious article, that somebody is going to hit that. And I'm going to fucking lose my shit. It's a risk that I have to take, but it's one of my biggest worries. Not going to lie. My body overreacted to it, so smoking. Body overreacted when I smoke it, so I eat it instead. I just hate the smell. That's why I take the edibles. When I do, which is like 3 times a year at most kind of thing, right? I even state that in the article, actually. But, okay, so, I can't feel it if I eat it. There you go. Love the smell, can't stand the buzz. Hate the smell. I grew up with too much of it. My mom smoked between like 15 and 20 joints a day. So like it was too much for me. I could not handle it. Maybe pause or redeem for streams. You'd be overwhelmed. If I know that it's something that is gonna trigger me, then I will pause it. If I manage to think about it. But also there's like 2 or 3 people that ever have the balls to use it, and Jay is usually one of them. Flavor vape cartridges. Fair enough. But yeah, as I was saying though, the medication shortage. Okay, so not a lot of you can remember if it affected you personally. Which, okay, fair enough. I think Moon was saying so, but I don't think up here it really hit us too hard. Second and high, only like. Why do you like them? Fair enough. I still have that one sitting on my headboard. I ran low, but not out. Yeah. Like, I was running low at the time, too. And like I said, if I recall properly, which, again, I never trust my brain, but if I recall, I think I had to wait 3 days to get refilled, which was not the end of the world, right? Because I've actually gone without all week this week because I keep forgetting to order them. So, yeah, I don't think it was a big deal for me personally, but I heard from lots of people how it did affect them, right? I remember a rather lengthy conversation in the mod chat back then at the time. I sent you a DM about that. Okay. But yeah, I happen to recall a rather lengthy chat in mod chat about that in the Discord. I remember seeing the signs warning about the shortage, but it was never a problem to get my refill. Yeah, I don't think up here it affected us too much. I think maybe very lightly, but not a huge amount, right? So, fair enough. I have one more segment that I'm going to talk about in my bitching rant. We will do that after the self-care break because it's about the workplace safety failure, which is something else that pissed me off. Yeah, that's what today is. Today is where we're learning shit via me being pissed off. It's the best way to get pissed off is to put it to something that, you know, is actually applicable. Looking forward to this? Good. And remember, kids, the VOD is going to be up for 2 weeks. This video is also going to be available on YouTube. I'm going to try and shorten it down a little bit after the stream, if I remember. Or rather, if I have time. But yeah, if you missed anything from today's bitching, right, just to recap our topics. And then, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I will, Dan, can you remind me to do the same? But yeah, you know, if you want to catch up on the 4 segments, right? The diagnosis access crisis, the research to gap practice, the medication moral panic, which is what we just finished talking about, and next it'll be the workplace safety failure. These are all things that piss me off. Mind you what, to add the Lighthouse to my suggested channels. I heard do the sync. I mean, you do what you're gonna do. Nobody can stop you, mama, from doing what you want to do. And also, thank you guys for the inspiration on a couple of other articles. Vespa, thanks for that inspiration to do that one up. And also remember, if there's a topic you guys want me to talk about on stream and do the research on, write it in the coaching channel in the Discord, and I will do my best to do it. Duh, have you met me? I mean, enough said, right? Beautiful. All right, why don't we take a moment? My coffee is good for the time being. Where are you again? Order your meds on self-care break. Ugh. Thanks, Jared. Let me just set myself up for that. No. No, don't call Allosaur Lopus. That's legit what I was just about to fucking do. Don't do that. There it is. Okay. All right. We're good. All right. Here we go. Time for a self-care break. Grab yourself some water, a snack, hit the bathroom, stand up, have a stretch, pet your dog, check your laundry, run around the kitchen, dance. I don't give a shit what you do. Take a couple of minutes for you, and we'll be right back to talk about the workplace safety failure. All right?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Un momento.
Welcome to another episode of Nobody Asked, the segment where we give you information that nobody asked for.
Are you having trouble starting your arson? Check to see if you have either Doritos or non-dairy creamer, since both are highly flammable.
This has been Nobody Asked.
Were you Dutch ovened by your one-night stand and now suffer from respiratory illness?
Have you looked in a telescope only to see the brown eye?
Get caught cooking meth in a Winnebago?
Ha! You mean want a bango? Did you lose a fight with a scarecrow?
I'm JP Schuster.
And I'm CB Mooster. And we're here to fight for you. Automotive accidents,
Medical malpractice.
workplace injury.
Scared of the dark?
Call Schuster and Mooster at 1-800-MONSTER.
We check under the bed.
Bro, that's scary.
Schuster and Mooster.
Attorneys at law.
I'm gonna be a bunny for Halloween.
Phone books can be toilet paper? Phone books can be toilet paper.
By hiring Schuster and Mooster LLC, you acknowledge that no one should act or refrain from acting based solely upon the legal advice provided by Schuster and Mooster LLC without first seeking much better qualified legal and/or professional advice.
From ADHD Interactive comes the ultimate test of attention. Focus Royale! Drop in, gear up, try to complete one task before 99 other players distract you.
Wait, what are we doing?
Looting. Or laundry?
I don't know, but can you please shut that fucking cat up?
Shut up, muffins!
Featuring real-time distractions, phone notifications, snack urges, and the crushing weight of responsibility. Power up your dopamine meter. Unlock rare loot like accidental productivity and cleaned one spoon.
Did I win?
No, you just opened Spotify again.
Son of a bitch. Ooh, but I love this song.
Linda, your shitty music gave me a debuff.
Oh, sorry. Do a focus roll.
Focus Royale. Because attention is a battlefield. Rated R for relatable. Wishlist now. ADHD Incorporated. Gaming the system since we built it.
That's a game that I would never fucking play. Alrighty. Hopefully you guys managed to grab yourself some water or hit the pisser or whatever you needed to do. I sat here and ordered my meds. Thank you for the reminder, Jared. I appreciate that. What about snakes and Adderall? Overdose is a topic that we haven't covered. But, yeah, that's a real thing. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that's a game that we could play about the shortage. How many days of Adderall do you get left? Hey, there we go. All right, so the last topic that I have here is the workplace safety failure, okay? And I think this one is underrepresented in the mainstream ADHD context, okay? Partly because the population it most affects isn't the population that typically has platforms to talk about it. So we talk about a lot about ADHD in schools. We have decades of research on ADHD and academic performance. We have IEPs and educational accommodations and resource rooms and special support for students and things like that. But what do we have for an adult with ADHD who is working in a warehouse or something, or on a construction site, or in a factory, or on the rigs up here in Alberta is another big one, right? Because this is oil country. And what kind of things do they have in that environment? Well, in that environment, it's very different. It's a very different culture, right? That culture is very man up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you know, suck it up and get it done kind of thing. But for all of these things, what is there? Nothing. As Nadia put it, fuck all, right? That's what is there. Functionally nothing. So here is some data for you. Meta-analysis. They have consistently found that people with ADHD are nearly twice as likely to be injured compared to those without. Vespa was asking about why do we have a shorter life expectancy? Because of reasons like this, right? It is very well documented that we are nearly twice as likely to be injured in the workplace compared to those without. There was a 2017 meta-analysis I pulled this from, and they pulled odds ratios from 35 studies. So this one study took the information from 35 other studies and found the overall odds ratio of 1.96, which is nearly double, okay? 1.96 ADHD people are as likely to be injured as one neurotypical. Not in car accidents alone, though. That's what another thing. There is traffic data that is also consistent and substantial in occupational injuries, workplace injuries, in the physical environment where ADHD people are working. Okay? Is Vespa listening or sidetracked? Just want to make sure that I'm driving that point home. Let me just take a look at this other one here. There was another 2024 document that showed patterns of... You're here? So, did you hear what I said? Just to recap here. Meta-analysis. It was a study that pulled from 35 other studies and found that we are twice as likely to be injured in the workplace. Like at 1.96 was the ratio they found. So almost 2 ADHD people will get injured compared to 1 neurotypical. Basically is what the odds are. So there was another document, and it showed patterns of lateness, job instability, poor performance, increased workplace injuries, higher rate of traffic accidents. There was another international consensus committee in 2013 that concluded occupational health considerations for adults with ADHD are often neglected in workplace policy and practice. Neglected. That's a diplomatic version. Okay? Neglected is the diplomatic word. So instead of them putting anything in place, they're just like, fuck you, suck it up. Meat space and the uncontrolled attention and all the heavy machinery that needs interacting with isn't great. Hi, Gothic. I could tell you that as somebody who worked with trains. That was... Believe me, I learned within the first 2 weeks of being there that I needed to up my dose in meds. That's where I discovered that my meds were not cutting it, and I needed to up my dose because my attention was faltering in a job where I was walking between rail cars. That was my job. Okay? I could have been a fucking statistic at any point if I was not paying 100% attention to what I was doing on the ground as these gigantic rail cars are smashing into each other. To give you an idea. Okay? Okay, so here's an honest version. There is no... I'm surprised I'm still here. I made a joke about not having retirement plans because I never thought I would live this long. And that was something I said in my mid-20s. So, I feel ya. There is no IEP equivalent for the warehouse jobs. There's no accommodation framework for a construction site. There is no structured support for the roughly 4% of the workforce who has ADHD diagnosis and typically doing physically dangerous work, like I was, okay? Now, who has desk jobs? Who has HR departments that process accommodation requests? Who has the organizational infrastructure to request and receive reasonable adjustments under disability legislation? And who doesn't? Right? These are things that we have to consider. The accommodation infrastructure for ADHD in the workplace does exist, such as it is, but it's primarily for knowledge workers, for people in office environments, for people whose jobs involve computers and meetings and documents and shit that can be organized, with flexible schedules that can be adjusted, with quiet spaces that can be provided, right? Thankfully, the job that I do occasionally now, where I help out at the media office, thankfully I do have accommodations with them, even though I only work there like once a month kind of thing at this point, right? Headphones is part of my accommodations. New tasks need to be submitted in writing to me. Nope, when I work in a school with students on IEPs. Yeah. Right? I want to hear from Blizzard Fury on this one. If you're still here in a boot and paying attention. Notice I said a boot just for you. I is a boot. Let me hear your take. I want to hear your 2 cents on this. When it comes to, you know, not having enough proper accommodations in place for like warehouse workers and whatnot. I wish Chaos was here too, so I could get their opinion on it. Because I got a couple more documents that I pulled some info from. A lot of big companies, etc., say they have this stuff in place, and yet it falls short. Yeah, a lot of them, it's a case of, like we were saying before about the other practices, about how, like in the States where they don't even have something in place, right? But that has to do more with medical practitioners, but. You know, at least there are a lot of places that do, yeah, they say they have it in place, but it's nowhere near as good as it should be. Only when something of nature is reflected in independent study, the ratio done after the fact that the accident occurring. Yeah. That's a lie. I only have, I have as an instant announcement. You have to send an email or call me if there's a change that affects me, like weather. Okay, so you do have an accommodation in place. Okay. Blizzard, do you have accommodations in place that you require for yourself? Actually, how about anybody who's here who's working anywhere, be it in an office, and let me know if it's in an office or if it's like a labor job. Do you have any accommodations in place at your job? Right? Again, my accommodations in an office, my headphones, because the lights in there drive me insane, and new tasks have to be submitted to me in writing, otherwise I'll forget, right? So there's that. Now, this isn't necessarily a conversation about accommodations per se, because that's another topic entirely we can get into. But while you guys type, think of it like this. The person on the assembly line doesn't necessarily get a flexible schedule. Okay, the construction worker doesn't get a quiet space if they need one. Okay, so I'm also wrapping autism into this now. I work assembly line, there you go. The warehouse picker doesn't get reduced visual stimulation, right? And when they get injured at nearly twice the rate of their neurotypical colleagues, nobody is asking whether their ADHD is relevant to what happened, or so it seems. But to a very how many in dangerous jobs disclose disabilities? That's another thing, right? My husband works in machines and postal office didn't disclose this. That's another thing too, right? I'm sure if he worked in a place where he was more comfortable knowing that he would be able to get things like these accommodations, I'm sure he probably would feel more comfortable disclosing it. Am I mistaken? Right? Again, I don't know your hubby. I could be completely wrong. Heidi ho. Hellacious? Is that what it is? Hellacious Brie. I'm gonna go with Brie. Yes? Correct me if I'm wrong. Hello and welcome to our discussion. Today we are talking about all the things that are pissing me off. Apparently. Yes, perfect. Look at that. I can fucking read. It's amazing. Hi, Bree, and hi, other Raiders. How you doing? Welcome to our conversation. Currently, we're talking about the workplace safety failure. And for those of you that don't know me, let me give you the little intro.
Tyler, but people know me by many names. But most know me as Spaz or Squirrel Dad. And here's a little bit about me. I'm a mental health advocate. I have autism and ADHD. I am a giant nerd. I love space. I love Star Wars. I'm also a Mandalorian. I'm an artist. I'm an animator. I'm a musician. I'm a veteran DJ. And I love all things AI. So what can you expect here? Well, we chat about everything. We talk mental health. We chat about nerdy stuff. We talk about food. Hell, around here, off topic is the topic. All in all, we like to have fun, but we don't talk religion or politics. Nope. There's enough division and hatred out there already. My community is a safe space for all, no matter if you're neurodivergent or not, if you're gay, straight, or trans, no matter where you are, no matter what color you are, no matter who you love, no matter what you believe. You are all welcome in my house. Just respect everybody and don't be an asshole. So again,
there you go. There's a bit about me. All right. Because Tenacious Brie would have been amazing. That would have been fantastic. Well, Brie, I like your name anyway. Hellacious, I dig it. I dig it. And thanks for the shout out, Dan. Feminist, hedonist, BLM, queer, streaming, ARC Raiders. Cool. Cool. Excellent. Well, you sound like you're a great little fit for our community. That lines up a lot with what we got around here. Okay, so when you're working at a pace to keep the time constraints and require level. A lot of repetitive work. I'm off work, back injury. It took me for 2 months. Ew. To the table, my 6'2" Irish Horseman. That's fair. If it wasn't directly harmful to disclose, he would disclose, which I think is part of the discussion. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's kind of what I was saying there. What do you think he doesn't ask for them? I have no idea what Mama just said, but anyway. Bree, did you want to jump in on our conversation? We're talking about, and I don't know. Do you fall under our neurodivergent umbrella? Because if you do, chime on in. Because we're been a lurker for years. Oh, awesome. First chance to raid because we're not ADHD cycles. Nice. Okay, so here's my question to you. I'm going to call you out directly. Do you work, I guess is one. Do you work? Are you a student? Anything like that? Anything you want to share? Because what the current topic being the workplace safety failure, essentially, and we're talking about how we don't have necessarily safe spaces that are required, that could be required for somebody ADHD or autistic, like in a factory setting. And do you feel bonita? I don't do Chris very well. And where was I? Just to catch up on my notes here, since I was jumping around a bit. We were talking about patterns of lateness. Yeah, I covered that. How things were neglected. There's no IEP equivalent in the warehouse. Desk jobs, blah, blah, blah. The accommodation infrastructure for ADHD in the workplace. Okay, yes. How accommodations do exist. The assembly line person doesn't necessarily get a flexible schedule, as I'm sure Blizzard can attest to. I don't know, Blizzard, do you have a flexible schedule since you're an assembly line worker? How flexible is your schedule? Or is it like rigid? Because what you've described to me was certain days. No, not flexible at all. Yeah, you told me what your schedule is. 4 days, yeah, very rigid. 4 days, very rigid, and then 3 days off. Something like that, yeah? If I recall. I always say never trust my brain. Yeah, Monday to Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I did. I'm in the military, work at a desk job. My accommodation to ADHD in my specific career field are actually surprisingly good. That is excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. By the way, thanks for hanging out, Bree. Of course, I know what it's like rating after a stream. If you have to do self-care stuff, we call it Rule Zero. I'm sure you've heard of it, right? Take care of yourself. Get your water. Go to the bathroom post-stream. I know what that's like. If you got to run away and cook and stuff like that. Awesome. Power to you. But I thank you for hanging about. And I'm actually I'm kind of surprised that your accommodations in your specific field are really good. And this just comes from when I was doing the podcast with Patrick and Lee, and hearing about how their experience in the military. Now, admittedly, that was from years ago, but how their experience in the military and how hard it was for them. Okay, all good. You're not alone. I know there are others that are doing the same thing, which is cool. Okay, where was I? We were talking about how they don't get a flexible schedule. Okay, so there was a systematic review in 2024, a review on ADHD in employment, and it documented that males with ADHD tended to place less emphasis than females with ADHD on work safety. Does this surprise anybody? This is not a shock for me in any way, shape, or form. What's that? Guys taking more risks and being dumbasses about it? Shocker. I'm not surprised in any way. So that finding is consistent with impulsivity, risk assessment differences in ADHD, right? Things that I've talked about before. It's also about finding about who isn't physically dangerous jobs. Generally, it's more often men than women. Remember, when I say women, I'm counting AFABs, any trans women, trans men. I'm blanketing that. So just know that that is happening. And if you're new and need a reminder,
trans rights are human rights. And if you don't agree, you can fuck off.
All right. So again, I'm blanketing all of this. So just know that when I say women, that does cover that in my mind or the conversation. All right. Anyway, women with ADHD are more likely to be in jobs with different risk profiles, whereas men with ADHD are more likely to be in the high injury environment. I think a lot of undiagnosed ADHD adults wind up in the military were drawn to chaos. Yes, that is statistically correct, right? A lot of the ADHD brains need that chaotic environment, whereas those of us who have got both, or those who are just autistic, tend to be drawn more to jobs that are very structured. What kind of risks? Any kind of physical risks. Things that I was just talking about, like, well, for example, the construction work, working with heavy machinery, things like that, right? Environments where the fuck is going on? My dogs are losing their shit. Anyway, environments essentially where injury is a lot more common, shall we say, right? Construction work, factory work, rig work, right? Work in the pipelines, things like that. Statistically, there are a lot more men in those environments, as opposed to statistically, there are a lot more women in jobs that are a lot safer. Okay? Cooking breakfast while you listen. Okay. Again, that's not a monolith by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying, statistically, that's how it happens. So, the accommodation system was built for people the least likely to get hurt. The people most likely to get hurt don't always have access to it. So I want to be specific about what accommodation in physically demanding work could look like, because I don't want this to be a complaint or just me bitching without direction, okay? Because this is how I've structured it. Clear and consistent safety protocols with visual reminders rather than relying on sustained verbal instruction retention, right? Again, this is why I have to have things sent to me in writing, because I will not remember. So having these visual reminders, buddy systems, tripped over my tongue there. Beef bacon and English, and beef bacon and eggs on English muffins. Homemade McMuffins, very nice. I approve of this. As long as it doesn't have cheese, you have my vote. I also think because women are socially conditioned to consider consequences before acting. Yes, and that was something I talked about earlier this week, actually. That is a thing. That is definitely a thing. Good point. Booking my flights. How long is a flight for you from Ireland to Australia? I'm curious. Because for me, a flight from Calgary to Australia would be, I think it's 18 hours. But if I'm not mistaken, you have the benefit of going the other way. Yeah, about between 18 and 22 hours. Probably a full day with stopovers. I think you would have the benefit of going the other way of the planetary rotation. You would probably get there faster. That's an interesting thought that I need to nip in the bud here, because otherwise I'm going to go on a tangent and I don't want to do that. So what was I saying? Okay, so buddy systems, check-in procedures for high-risk tasks. These were things that, thankfully, I had some of that when I was working the rail yard. Schedule breaks that account for attention fatigue rather than expecting this sustained concentration for the full shift. 17 hours to fly from UK to Texas. That's crazy. That sounds about right, though. Yeah, that sounds about right. So anyway, concentration breaks, right? Supervisor training that distinguishes ADHD-related risk from carelessness or attitude. So things like the culture, a lot of the culture, I think, needs to adapt more to this. Again, perfect world. Medication access and management support, because the person taking stimulant medication in a warehouse needs it to work just as much as the person taking it in the office. But the culture and the logistics are different. Again, something I experienced when I was in the rail yard. When I did a medication change later in my career there, and I had to they forced me to take a week off while my body adjusted to the new med. So on one hand, that sucks. On the other hand, it was good that they gave the option, right? Instead of just, like, think about it. When you're adjusting to a brand new medication, it takes between 3 days and 2 weeks for your body to adjust to it. In the meantime, you could be experiencing these massive side effects that could completely put you in a shit situation if you're not fully adjusted to it, not fully paying attention to what you're doing, etc., etc. Howdy, Sume. So things like that. You know, the culture needs to adjust to us ADHD people. Well, hello, Sarah Spins. Welcome aboard. And remember, those of you who are subscribed, get yourself a pretty little car on the train. But what was I saying? Essentially, I finally joined just to stream with you. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Sume with shaking. I appreciate you, Sarah. Thank you very much for that. And I'm glad to have you here. I don't know if you've been paying attention, or if you've been here long enough to hear the entire conversation we've been having today. Currently, we're talking about ADHD and workplace and things like that. Essentially, everything that I was just saying, none of this stuff requires enormous resources to give somebody a space where they can, you know, take a few minutes to collect themselves when they need to give them a break, to allow them to reset and get their attention back on task, as it were, right? All of it requires giving a fuck about the workers with ADHD who are getting hurt, essentially. 39-year-old cis woman diagnosed at 31. Workplace is a good topic for me right now. I'm under extreme micromanagement with extreme burnout. Oh, God. I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds like a great time. A great time. Yes, all of the huggies to you if you want them. That does sound not fun. Let me just wrap this topic up here real quick, though. Work in ADHD, not the comfortable version. It sucks. What has ADHD actually cost you in your career? Sorry for the call out, not sorry. Lost jobs, injuries, close calls, things that happened that you never thought to connect to your ADHD until later. I'd love to hear this, okay? What has your ADHD actually cost you when it comes to things like work or school even? Lost jobs, injuries, close calls, things that happened that you never thought until later was part of your ADHD. Lost jobs, missed shifts, late all the time. That was something I said earlier. A job. I can't count the number of late show up. English, not my best friend today. But the amount of times that I was late, the amount of like missed shifts, yeah, that happened. I'm trying to think of jobs that I lost over it. I can't think of jobs that I specifically lost over it, but I got in a lot of shit. I failed a class that I was effectively taking for free, had to take it again. God. Didn't get diagnosed until 30. If I'd known as a kid, I'd be ruling the world by now. That's an entirely different and full-ass conversation we have had before. The if I only knew, right? The what if. The what if is something massive all on its own. My story is that I experienced a major life-changing event in my production tanked. That's how I got diagnosed. That's not an unfamiliar story. Let's fail classes in college. Lost my scholarship. Lost job, missed promotions at another job. Yeah, these are all real things. And a PB&J sandwich. The amount of PB&Js that I've missed. Alright, maybe not specifically, but exactly what you guys are saying here is all stuff that I have heard numerous times over the years from numerous people. Sometimes I got in trouble for being late. Yep, I can relate to that. What did I miss? The entire conversation. Governor's waiver helped me with cost. I got a doc against it. Yeah. The question right now for you, Eris, is where did it go? What has ADHD cost you in your career? Be it work, be it school, whatever. Lost jobs, injuries, close calls, things that happened in your life that you never connected to your ADHD. Question for... Let me just scroll up here. Sarah, are you comfortable talking about the major life-changing event or no? I don't like this question. Did you forget where you were, my love? When I work, yeah, sure. Please, by all means, if you're comfortable sharing, please share. Because I'm sure it's something that many of us might be able to relate to. Again, only what you're comfortable with. It's, as always, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. That's fucking relatable. We did an entire stream on that too. Those years ago, so I'm okay. That's completely understandable. Totally understandable as a life-changing event, right? Another topic that I have not talked about today is how susceptible we are as neurodivergent for being gaslit, for being targets of narcissists, for being victims of cheating, stuff like that. 100% relatable. Totally relatable. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. A shit situation, but I mean, how many of us have been there, right? We like call-outs here. Yeah, we do. We do the call-outs here whether you like them or not. Because they're all true. That's the worst part. But yeah, I can absolutely understand and relate. Do we, or are we just used to them? I mean, that's a valid question. Do we like them? Do we expect them? Or are we just so accustomed to them that we can just shake our head? Watch YouTube on you a lot, but couldn't chat because you're over here. You could chat on YouTube. It's just sometimes the YouTube chat, like the way I have my OBS set up, I've got a multi-chat over here so I can see on this side of the screen the Twitch and the YouTube chat combined together. But I have the actual Twitch chat itself pulled out, so I type over there. Yes, you have called me out, yeah. The trauma humor is real. Again, a topic that we just talked about not long ago, where we were talking about dark humor. ADHD didn't have patience. Well, I appreciate you nonetheless. I appreciate you being here. But yeah, like the things that vanish them all right, and just nails wrong. Okay, thank you for the heads up, Moon. Appreciate that. If you do, please DM me afterwards just to let me know everything's good, okay? If you don't mind, just DM me on Discord if you do vanish. Where were we? Oh yeah, talking about okay, so the things that you never connected. Must be in Oklahoma, or probably close. The things that you never connected to your ADHD that interfered with your life. Right? There are so many. No win, just scars to commiserate. Cheers to that. My choice in men. Thanks, ADHD. Yep. Cheers. You're from Oklahoma too? Awesome. I got a couple of friends down there in Oklahoma. Did that hit a chord? I know that absolutely affected me when I was in my early 20s. As a teen, my choice in friends. Again, how am I still alive? No, for me it was, well, back then I was a terrible human being, but after I had my life-changing breakup, afterwards yeah, you were. Thanks, Peter. I'm glad you remember. Still learning Twitch. It's all good. Take your time, and if you need help, ask. We're here to help. I think we had to do more with anxiety. Possible. Mine had a lot to do with impulsivity. Kind of a half-ass addiction, but definitely very, very impulsive. Yeah, it was not a good time for a while. Definitely not related to the name change. Nope, not at all. Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna lie. It's taking me a little bit of cognitive fuel to try and address you by this name. Terrible human being or raging against things you didn't understand working against you so you didn't know any better or learn. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Impulsive makes you a good DJ, though. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, the DJ part, that was a different beast entirely. Appreciate it, though. Of course, my darling. Had to do with emotional dysregulation and falling quickly based on dopamine. A lot of mine was dopamine hunting. It absolutely was. Right? There was a period where I was a whore. I'll just say it straight up. Want a fun reason? Hit me. Like, straight up, I'll just admit it. You know, I admit it here at home. I was a terrible human, right? If it wasn't nailed down, I fucked it. I will straight up admit it. I was a terrible, terrible person. Eris is the goddess of Discord for the fun. I like it. What ADHD person hasn't had a horror phase? There are very few. Glad I was nailed down. I mean, you may or may not have been a consideration. I'm not gonna lie. Ain't nothing wrong with some reasonable promiscuity. Yep. It wasn't so great for my first marriage, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, that's where the horrible human being part comes into it. Yeah, for my first marriage, it didn't help so much. I learned a lot afterwards. But I want to add on to what, who was it? It was Moon was saying. Terrible human being or raging against things you didn't understand was working against you so you didn't know better and were learning. I'm going to add to that was the fact that apparently Ace ADHD here don't quite go through that phase. I hear that as well. In honor of chaos, save the ace. Goddess of chaos and justice are all relevant because they can fuck around and find out. Yep. at the time, not realizing that you're autistic as well, not knowing how to adult properly at the time, thinking that that environment was normal, like putting myself in an environment because of part of it was like my love of music. I'm not gonna lie, I was a fucking fantastic DJ, and getting into that, yes, I tooted my own horn there. Getting into that club environment, but thinking that that's what adulthood was, because that's all I saw there. That was all I saw at home, right? The drinking part. So there was the alcohol addiction. There was being in an environment where all I saw was drinking, partying, and fucking, and thinking that that's what adulthood was. And learning to mask enough to fit into that environment, and then learning later that's not how you adult, and then having to undo all of that. So adding on to what Moon was saying, that was a factor of it. Let me catch up here just a little bit. You talked about ADHD susceptible to cheating, but not about impulsivity leading our own bad decisions. Those things go hand in hand, honestly. But the part where I was talking about how we are susceptible to being victims of it, that's a part where we are susceptible to being victims, to being we're easy prey for abusers, essentially, is what I was saying. I'm also ADHD, not diagnosed autistic. It's just becoming painfully obvious. Your self-diagnosis is valid here, Sarah. And yes, Jared, 35 rev a night. Do you remember when Brooker would walk up with an entire case and put them in that empty record slot? And we would just sit there and fucking drink the entire case all night? Oh God, good times. So I'm thinking drinking and partying was adulthood, so I relate. Yep. That's right. Self-diagnosis is valid if you've done the research on it. I'm an abuser's dream candidate. Yeah, there are many of us who are. And that's a problem in and of itself. By masking, we also create gaps in our ability to see others for their true selves because we take on parts of them around them. That's another thing, too. I've cheated to avoid. Aw, thanks, Toads. Throwing subs around. Mwah. Appreciate you, friend. Look at all those little emojis popping around. More cars on the train. Yay! I love more cars on the train. Sarah, I have cheated to avoid being the dumped one too many times. Been there, my friend. I hate admitting that, but I do admit that.
Drink your water!
Yo.
Take your meds! Eat something yummy, motherfucker!
Nom nom nom. You must have read my shirt. Today's shirt. Drink your water, take your meds, be kind to yourself. 100%. And that goes for everybody, by the way. Holy fuck, dogs. My God. And grab yourself a cookie. Cookies for everybody. Sorry, just trying to get my chair in place here. It was me. It happened to me. Yeah. Self-diagnosed ADHD. Still questioning the ASD. There you go. Dogs heard the cookie truck and wanted to chase it. I love that one. Sorry, having a hard time getting comfortable in my chair here. All right, there we go. Never cheated, but definitely been dumped by somebody so I could hook up with somebody else. Right. I think we've all been in situations that kind of revolve around the same idea in that regard. Or at least many of us have. I don't want to say all of us, but many of us have. Diagnosed 2019. Had no idea. Pre-TikTok area. I laughed at my doctor when he suggested it. That's the thing, right? And now looking back on your life through that new lens, how was that for you? And for the record, after the self-care break, I do have a little bit more written down from notes here, and it's just kind of like the through line to connect all four things. See, I'm trying to be topical about this, but also trying to incorporate you guys into it, because I don't want to be the only one that sits here and fucking babbles for 2 hours. God, my life makes so much more sense. Yep. Right, so like the ADHD for me, I was diagnosed at 7 years old. Initially, I think I was in grade 2 at the time, right? So I was one of the 80s Ritalin kids. Also learned to be better at discerning who my friends were. That was the biggest thing. That's something that I definitely learned later in life. Need people who got me. I think that's why I built a community, to be honest with you. It's the only thing I definitely appreciate schism for. Figuring out poly early, could not understand how to do mono for anyone else. Every conversation became immediately, this won't work. That's something that I never really wrapped my head around. Or never, I don't know if I can say never wrap my head around. I don't think I would have the ability to do so, to be poly. I don't think so. But again, that's me. It's something I never really had a whole lot of consideration. Mono's not even a thing for me. Don't forget to go back to your story about 80s Ritalin kids. I was one of them. I was 100% one of them. So I was diagnosed at 7, re-diagnosed at 23-ish, and then again at 43. Yeah. So that was ADHD. So I had, I knew about that all my life. I didn't know what it meant. I just spent most of my life thinking that I was lazy, hyperactive, didn't pay attention. That kind of thing, right? So the typical shit that we get exposed to. And then finally, TikTok era. Holy fuck, I'm learning about what this actually means, what it does to you, all of that stuff. That only came in the last 10 years for me. 2022, 23. Also, probably struggling partners. Just had an excuse to be detached. I think that's a main reason why I don't think I could get into it. That's a very interesting conversation that I think we could have after the break here and after I kind of get my through line. I don't know, for those of you that are new here and don't know about the self-care break. By the way, thanks for the hype train. I just noticed that. Appreciate you. I remember the file therapist for the ASC. No shit. Again, if you're new here, we neurodivergents are shit at taking care of ourselves. That's why once an hour, I try to make sure that everybody takes a quick break to get some water, get a snack, go to the bathroom if you need to, because interoception is a thing that we struggle with. We're going to do that right now. We're going to take a very quick break. I think I can refill my coffee. And this is my way of covering up the Twitch ads. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. Grab some water. Do that too. Do what you got to do. Right? Pet the dog. Check your dishes. Smoke a fatty. Whatever works for you. Okay? But we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And we'll have a very interesting convo.
ocean, bodies in motion, sweat and devotion, ride the emotion, take another hit, got my fix, overdosing. Got that underground sound. The beat goes on.
What? Where are you going, motherfucker? You taking off there, Dan? Thanks, Dan, for everything. Shout out to all your mods. All the mod love. Thanks for everything you guys do. Brand new coffee. That I forgot to put my caramel in. Oh well, whatever. Happy birthday, mods. There you go. Excuse me. All the mods except Dan. Damn it, Dan. Dan's off to eat some crayons. Let me just double check here. Okay, so you guys are talking a lot about Polly. That's interesting. So before I carry on, just a reminder that a lot of the things that I have used as resources today to help me bitch about all of this stuff. They're all articles available on my Substack. So if you're interested in the topic without having my ADHD on full display as I try to, putter on through them, you actually want to read the shit that I wrote, thank you very much, Moon. Check that out. All the articles are there. I post between 3 and 5 a week. If you don't know, it primarily is from brand new peer-reviewed journals. I try to break them down into more English type of language that's a little more easily digestible for everybody. That's the point of me doing those. I do those because Dr. Russell Barkley has retired. How much is this? I think the sub is $8, but the articles themselves, the basic information is free for everybody. Because those in my community know that I hate paywalling shit that should be available for everybody. Right? So the basic information is all there for everyone. It's where the paywall hits is where I actually have to do the work. So more of the diagnostic stuff. Oh, Barkley is my hero, that guy. I'll tell you a story in a second. But the paywall, the $8, that's where I get into more of the diagnostic stuff, more of the science type shit, okay? And then my coaching approach on it, things for adults with ADHD, autism, parents, stuff like that, right? More of the deep dive stuff. That's where the paywall is. But the base information, that's always free for everybody. Because I refuse to gatekeep that. Because that's bullshit. That's information everybody should have. My story about Barkley is I loved watching his channel because he would take one of the most interesting things to him, or one of the most important things, and give his info on it, these brand new peer-reviewed journals. Well, he fully retired. Like, he's not doing that anymore. But he also gave out, this is where I'm getting the info from if you want to carry on doing it yourself. And I'm like, you know what? If you're not going to do it, somebody has to. So that's what I try and do is I'll take, I get emailed up to 140 articles on ADHD and autism every week. So I have Claude go through all of them because there's no way I could sit and go through all of those. So I have Claude go through all of them and narrow it down to about between 5 and 10 kind of thing. And then I'll pick the ones that are more relevant for our community. And so I'll do articles on those. But I felt like if nobody is going to do it, I better jump in. Claude is one of the AIs, just like ChatGPT. So I just have it go through and sift and knock out the ones that are not relevant, quote unquote. So things that are super medical, whatever, it's kind of okay, not necessarily going to need that info, right? But 140 of these articles, yeah, no, thank you. That's just not going to happen. So I have it narrowed down to between 5 and 10, and then I'll do up the articles on those things. And again, in a week, I'll post between 3 and 5 articles, depending on my energy level, because MS, fucking A. Anywho. Shake my head. Alright, where were we? Amen to that. So, yeah, hooray for chronic illness. Yay! Not. Alright, so I just kind of want to spend a minute here and connect these 4 segments together that I was talking about. Because I think they can look like separate issues. They're really not. Okay? Diagnostic access is a class issue. Thanks, Nadia. But by the way, these cards are to make me do dumb shit. What was I saying? Diagnostic access. It's a class issue. The expensive private pathway and the year plus public access waitlist. So again, between 12 and 18 months, just in Ontario alone. That is, it's horseshit. It is insane that people have to wait that long or pay between, you know, what was it, $2,000 and $4,000 in order to get a private diagnosis. That is ridiculous. So the research to practice gap, it's essentially a power issue, right? Research that would change the outcomes for ADHD patients requires a healthcare system with enough political will, shall we say, and structural capacity to actually implement the damn thing. The system hasn't been required to build that capacity because the people most affected by this gap don't have enough collective power to demand the change, right? The medication moral panic that we talked about is a narrative issue. So again, the story about too many diagnoses, it keeps production quotas conservative when it comes to like medication and whatnot. Again, like I talked about with the DEA having their quotas and whatnot. And I'm not just talking on my ass for anybody who just showed up. This is all documented stuff. I got one of my favorite ones. Oh, God. The workplace safety failure that we talked about, that is also a structural issue. The accommodation infrastructure, it was built by and for desk workers, essentially. And it's never really been extended to the workers who need it the most, which, again, in a lot of cases are the people who are out in the labor jobs, out doing the construction, working the line, working the factories, working the oil field, right? This system was not designed around the people that are most impaired by the untreated ADHD, okay? It was designed around the children whose parents had the resources to get them assessed and treated, and it just scaled from there. Everyone else has been fitted into a framework that was never built for them. These are things that we all talked about, our own experiences and whatnot. There's one more likely to have another and should be looking to get checked. Prevention and maintenance is a lower cost for everyone. Uh-huh. Yeah. Late diagnosed adults, women who were told that they were just anxious, people who can't afford the $2,500, the rural communities, manual laborers, the people most harmed by these failures, they were not in the room. They are still not in the room when it comes to this. The system is not changing at the speed that the outcome requires. Oh, hey, it's me. How's that call out? So, I want to be honest about what this practically means. Because I don't want to end the conversation, like, with despair, as it were. Individual advocacy within a broken system still matters. Knowing what the research says and what you should receive, even if you're not getting it, gives you something to ask for, something to fight for, and something to advocate for, right? Knowing that the wait time is a structural failure, not a personal failure. If you are stuck on one of these lists, that is not a personal failing. That is the system. Knowing that the narrative about overdiagnosis that we talked about, that is not supported by the data. So remember that. It changes. It can change what you do when you encounter that narrative. I found jobs to my fast heart rate because no one took my concern seriously. Now, heart failure. Ugh. yeah, being in places where they don't take your needs into account, right? You're just there to suck it up and do the job. I hear that's bad. Yeah, heart failure? I've heard that's a problematic condition. And collective advocacy, that matters more, right? The ADHD community as a whole is large enough and organized enough to be a real force when it comes to conversations in policy and shaping these systems, right? In the States, you're panicking, picking up, running. Yeah. In the States especially, insurance coverage, insurance coverage decisions, DEA production reviews. Now, taking a look at the administration, not so much. But, I mean, this is still a thing that can happen. It's a much bigger conversation. What? You got distracted? Shocker. I forget where I was trying to go with this. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember now. Looking at my notes and going, okay, where was I going here? I think I got distracted because this was getting close to stream time, so I kind of... Order your meds. I did. Train has left the rails. Not just the station, but the rails. Do the thing. There's that. No, I think in my notes I was getting close to stream time, so I like kind of got off the rails. Whoops. Where was I going? What was the point I was trying to make?
My acorn is missing.
Squeak, squeakin', squeak, squeakity.
Will that help? I mean, I lost my acorn. Side quest, yeah. Sure, herding trains or Roombas. I mean, potato at this point. I don't even recall. No, I'm just looking at my notes and going, Didn't change your voice? I didn't realize it was supposed to. Why, Nadia? What were you expecting?
Were you expecting me to sound like this? Is that what you're expecting? Is this what you want? Is this what you want from me? Is this all I am to you? Answer me, damn it. Is this all I am to you? Am I just somebody with a voice changer who sits here and stares into a camera? Is that it? Dance for me, monkey. Is that what you want? Is that your expectation of me? Dance, monkey, dance? Just to be your little bitch? Is that what you want? Squeak, squeaker, squeak, squeakum. And I don't even have them handy. I put them back on the shelf. But I don't, yeah, you can't really see. They're all on this shelf up here. All of my squirrels. They're all there. That is where my squirrels are. You give me back my nuts. That's why I'm here. Confusion, ice and hugs. I am talking all about the confusion. There is all the confusion happening right now. How many of you have... Never mind, I'm not going there. Whatever. The point is... I don't know. I don't know what the point of today is. They give me a chance to bitch and talk to you about things that were important. Is this better? Are you better now, Nadia? Do you feel good about yourself? Is this what you wanted? This what you wanted? Just somebody to sit here and squeak?
Could redeem Harold. Don't. Save that one for later. Did I miss the poly discussion? No, we have not gone there yet. All I want for Christmas is my two front teeth. Save it for the perfect time. You do that. Yeah, okay, so we'll wrap up all of my bitching and whatnot for there. 1 second, my wife. Hang on. There. All right. Turning me into a squirrel. Yeah. No, I was just kind of wrapping up what I was talking about for the day, and got turned into a squirrel, essentially. Give you nothing. That's why I bonked you. Fair enough. Okay, so the poly discussion. Let's hear from you guys. Those of you who are in the poly, just wrapped up making steaks and beans for supper. Fuck you. Hello, but fuck you. But yeah, so this is a chance for those of you who are who are in the poly community. Like I said, that's not something that I ever really considered, I guess. ADHD and poly, we can't focus on just one. Well, and it's also kind of, it's very prevalent in the autism community as well. Like, I know that I don't have the research on hand, but I know that's something that I have discussed and something we brought up before, is that polyamorous relationships are something that are very prevalent in the autistic community, as well as a lot of the what am I trying to say here? There's a lot of connection to the trans community and the autism community, essentially. Now, again, I don't have the data here handy, but I mean, it's documented, very well documented. So, I would say that it's a big part of ADHD for me. I don't want to miss the opportunities for deeper connections. I want to be able to explore and come partners and everything. No, and you know what? Do your best. Do your best. I kind of understand what you're saying there. People like experts would be great, so yeah, let's go see Expo. See, and I've heard that before from another couple of people that are poly in our community. I think this conversation I had with, not to point fingers, but the boss. Trying to push it to a big love. Yeah, go get yourself some rest. Go take care of you. But yeah, honestly, when I was younger, I think that maybe have been something I would have considered. But, I mean, now, being older, it's not really something I ever took into account, I guess. Yeah, I have a hard enough time with one person, let alone many. Just personally, one person, so many partners, they're not perfect. I think for me, I have a hard enough time being able to try and not only hold down and regulate, but understand one partner, let alone multiple. So I think that's where I would run into a problem with it. I am a lot. I mean, I'm sure many of us have heard that, and many of us feel that. The I'm a lot. One person is enough. One person absolutely can be enough. However, if that's not your thing, that's not your thing, right? That's fair too. Right? I could see that. We're definitely not a monolith, right? One person is not just one thing. You know, except for me, because I have to be a mental health advocate. Otherwise, I get spanked by algorithm daddy. Am I allowed to do videos and streams and shit about games and space and all of the other things that I love? Oh, I probably could do it, but then Algo Daddy smacks the shit out of me, so... You need a good spank? Fuck you, you're not big enough. Yes, that is you. And you've got a giant husband to take care of that for you. So one thing I don't have with autism is social difficulty in a stereotypical way. More the opposite end. We're not a monolith. Can be overly social, too social. But that gives me good intuition, so balancing emotional needs and my partners come naturally to me. There you go. That's cool. Right? I did have that, but that was part of heavy masking is what that was. So it ended up actually exhausting the piss out of me by the end of the day. And yeah, that was something I just learned somewhat recently, is how much of the social anxiety, shall we say, that ties into it, that I can't handle a lot of those situations back when I thought that I could, and back when I was throwing myself into them because I thought that's what I had to do. And then next thing you know, I'm absolutely exhausted. Nodding like you can see. And then I'm absolutely exhausted by the end of it. And then I, am asleep for fucking a day and a half. That's different for each person, but when I need complete solo next to person time, I can camp with my person, he's there, trust him. What do we need to do? But my loud self overtakes him. It is too much for autism. That's fair. A situation that I don't know if I could be able to handle. But yes, as the point I think we're all trying to prove here is that everybody's autism and ADHD, because they're a spectrum, is different, right? I not so much with the social nowadays. Sarah very much so with the social. Cool, right? Eris, kind of all over the place a bit. I'm not gonna lie.
That makes me think you're kind of squirrely, and I'm okay with that. Do you feel like you're too much? You are not too much. You are loved and awesome and amazing, and mwah, we all love you very much.
Sorry, I just felt the need to get a little squirrel in there. I'm in the middle. You sound like a sandwich. I didn't think you were a poly, Nadia. Sorry, I had to get that dig in there. Boy, oh boy. We covered a lot today, didn't we? Yeah, we did. There we go. I'm only half listening. Shocker! Absolute shocker. Again, a reminder, if there is a specific topic that you guys want me to talk about, hit me in the coach channel in the Discord. Write it in there. I will look up the research. Thanks for letting me crash your party. There was no crash at the party. You tried to crash. You dove right in. And you are right in the middle of all of this amazingness. Crash. Crash my ass. That sounded so dirty. Whatever, I'm here for it. Because you're only half a person. Giggity giggity. Giggity goo. But yeah, if there's a specific topic you guys want me to talk about, let me know. Put it in the coach channel. I will look up any of the research that I need to. And yeah, we will go from there. Alright. So, I think what I need to do is get ready to make some tacos for my kid. But I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out. We're going to find a link to the Discord right there. You just had to say the word. Bam. And it shows up. Just like that. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to make some tacos for my kid. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining in the conversation, for guiding the conversation, for throwing new conversations in there. I love it. I appreciate the shit out of you. And just like the shirt says, drink your water, take your meds, be kind to yourself. Thank you for your venting. Thank you for listening and contributing. I will be back on Sunday, body willing, as always. Until then, you guys take care of yourselves. I will see you in the Discord. We're going to go say hi to Cajun. Falls down. Sounds like a story of my life. I'm going to roll the credits, and then we're going to raid into Cajun. So again, thank all of you for being here. Have yourself an amazing weekend. If I don't see you before Sunday, I'll be back here then, again, body willing, about 2:30-ish Mountain Time. I hope to see you here. And until then, much love.